Hi, and welcome to this session on Microsoft Fabric for Data Science. I'm Jasmine, and I'm here joined with Ismail, and we're going to walk you through the data science workload within Microsoft Fabric. But before we do, let's talk through Microsoft Fabric and what it is, as well as how it relates to the world of AI. Because we know that AI is rapidly changing the world, but it's data that's the fuel that powers AI. So getting data ready for the era of AI has become critically important for every organization. And Microsoft makes it easy for your data to be AI ready with a unified analytics platform that is Lake-centric and open for everyone in the entire organization, which also empowers every business user to be able to use this data in the way that is intended to be used and for the people that it's intended to be used for and with. And finally, it's AI powered. So there are AI capabilities built and baked right into Fabric and essentially helping you accelerate your AI journey and your data journey. And the way that this really is applied is with these 7 core workloads. So proven technologies like Azure Data Factory, Azure Synapse Analytics, and Power BI essentially provide you with a single unified SaaS or software as a service experience. And pretty much what you get in Microsoft Fabric is this platform that's unified, that allows everybody to be able to access this data in one centralized location in an interface that's familiar and intuitive to the users, and finally also accelerated with things like Copilots and as well as generative AI that can be applied on your data so that you can essentially go from data to AI-driven insights in a very short amount of time.
Okay, so now that we know a little bit about Fabric, let's talk a little bit about the data science process. And in the data science process, we are looking for data that we're going to enrich or transform or prepare so it can be used to train our models. No? In the end, what we want is to generate predictions and, of course, to create new insights for our company. So let's talk about Fabric and how it accelerates this process. So first thing we have is this concept of OneLake. OneLake is a little bit like OneDrive, so you put all the data you want into a single place. So you can put data that comes from different sources, even from products from Microsoft like Power BI or things like data warehouses, but also your text files or images or whatever you need. This data, and especially the well-structured data that we save as tables in Fabric, is saved as in an open source format called Delta-Parquet. Delta-Parquet, of course, is really well supported by the Python ecosystems. And the good thing is every single data workload supports this data. We want to have only one copy of the data, so you don't need to, if you need to access it from a different system, you can do. Then the third concept for the data side is this concept of shortcuts. What are shortcuts? Is a way when we can create like links, let's say somehow to the data, so we don't need to create extra copies of the data if we want to access it, for example, for our data science processes. You don't have to ask someone to make a copy of it, you just get the access to the shortcuts. And of course, if you want to get access data that is outside of Fabric, like in a different cloud, you also can do it with shortcuts. So that's about creating the data, getting the data. But now once we have the data, we have to read it and we have to transform it. We do this through notebooks. And this is like a classical Jupyter notebook style experience, but well integrated with Fabric. Of course, you can use Python and PySpark to run your notebooks. You just run them as you want, and you can use all the tools from the Python ecosystems inside of this notebook. So you can use PySpark, you can use Pandas, you can use Matplotlib, SciPy, all the ecosystem of tools that we like and are used to play with. So all of this is supported through an integrated runtime. And let's talk a bit about that. We have managed Spark runtime, so every single data processing work will be parallelized in case we need to scale. So everything is supported, everything is managed, and we can have different runtimes, a set of libraries, Python libraries that are isolated from different runtime specifications through environments. And finally, we have this tool called Data Wrangler. And Data Wrangler is kind of graphical tool when you can create data transformations, you can prepare your data and see a preview of what is going on. Graphically, you choose options to do everything, but in the end, it generates Python code, and we can easily integrate this Python code into our notebooks. But of course, if you want to do more, well, you can use Copilot. So let's talk about Copilot, Jasmine.
I really think you're going to love this feature. Copilot for Microsoft Fabric is a continuously improving feature that enables increased productivity by using built-in generative AI. Now we're going to take look at an example of what that means. So Copilot can assist me when working with things like Power BI, specific workloads like Power BI, where we need to build things like reports. So let's take a look at this example of this bike rentals workspace where there's this data that we've prepped together, and now we must go ahead and create a new report. Obviously, I could just go ahead and start dragging and dropping on my own to start creating my own report, but let's go ahead and use Copilot. Notice that it already has some starting prompts to get me started with a page. And now I'm just going ahead and selecting some of the options that Copilot has thought up for me. It's taken a look at my data and sees all these different things in my schema. And in fact, it's gone ahead and suggested one of these pages. So here we have this trip forecast, so we can essentially optimize where our bikes are. And just by submitting that prompt, we actually just got started with the support. Now, this is a great starting point, even if I don't have anything yet, but it saved me a bunch of time. So let's go ahead and create another page. This time I'm going to ask for trip statistics and station status, because it's interesting to look at our different start and end stations. And, it's included some slicers so I can slice and dice by city. I've got this map so I can zoom in and out on where the trips are starting. And, we can essentially eye these trends where we're seeing essentially that people are essentially renting bikes in the rush hour. So rush hour in the morning and a rush hour in the afternoon. And here we go, some additional information, trip duration, and as well as some additional insights just by having Copilot take a look at our data. And here we're going to ask it a little bit more and about our data. We can see we just asked it a specific question about our stations, and we can see that it's way easier than exporting this to Excel and doing all these manual manipulations to the data. So now we're going and adding another visualization, and here we have is just pretty much a narrative summary of what's going on in our report. And here you can see it's giving me some interesting facts about the data. And, at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about this report. And so as you can see, we started from essentially data prepped. I could just ask for what I wanted, and then we moved to data science, leveled up my skills to be able to build a forecast, and now use Power BI with Copilot to essentially create a report in minutes. So let's take a look at another interesting feature specifically within the data science workload. Now, Synapse ML is an open source Apache Spark library for machine learning, and it enables machine learning at scale with distributing training of models and support for MLflow. And this includes integrations with machine learning services like Azure AI services for vision, speech, language processing, and translation. It also supports things like Azure OpenAI to enable access to large language models that are fine-tuned and ready to use. And of course, Microsoft Fabric is also powered by AI. And one of the most exciting features is the Copilot experience, which, again, uses that natural language processing support to do analytics and generate data preparation tasks on notebooks. So let's take a look at what that looks like.
And once we decide which models we want to run, well, the next step is to configure these models now. So we're going to put some set of hyperparameters and we are going to run them. And well, once we run this experiment, let's say somehow we get some metrics and we use these metrics to compare our models and decide which one is the good one we want to use. All of this, well, we want a system that automates all of this, of course. And in our case, the system is MLflow. MLflow is like a standard tool that is well integrated with Fabric to do all of this. We can, for example, we can compare two runs on a different experiment. We can compare the different metrics. We can check, and as you can see here, we can check the runtime of each one of these metrics, which parameters we use, which libraries were used, and in which versions. Of course, we can promote and export a model from this run. And well, we can graphically see and compare the performance of the different metrics on each model. So all of these, well, with a graphical system, without having to run external things to do everything. So all quite easy with Fabric. And well, once we finally have our model, let's say that is, let's say, inferring things for us, we want to show these results to the business side. And the issue is that many times the business side uses a different tooling, like Power BI, like this kind of reports-oriented tools that is not the same we use. So we have a library called Semantic Link that is, let's say, like a gate opener into this system. So now from our notebooks, we can access Power BI, we can get the different rules from Power BI, measures, all the things of the semantic model and integrate it into our data science process. So we can use it just as a data set, as a data source, but we can also enrich data from Power BI from our experiments. For example, if we had a forecast column now, well, we can export this forecast column into Power BI. So that's a pretty neat thing to know that we also comes with Fabric, let's say for the getting insights point. And well, in the end, you end up with reports like this one. So in the end, well, we finish here. Well, that data science in Microsoft Fabric, well, it was a really short presentation. There's so much that we can talk about, but we wanted to give you a taste of what is there, no? Of course, Python is a first language for data science and is treated like that in Fabric. If you want to learn more, there are more tools that are going deep into uses of Python in Fabric and the different experiences. So today you can join all of those. Or if you want also, you can follow along afterwards. You can go in detail into this URL. So don't hesitate to visit this URL. And well, thank you for joining us.